Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome for the first time. This is probably going to be a weird video for you because you won't know that I was gone for a while because you're new. But anyway, there'll still be things here that you can glean even though you don't care that I was gone for a while. So hopefully you'll stick around. This video is going to be a little bit of a story time and a little bit of a um, I guess, testimony time and a little bit of explanation of why I kind of abandoned the channel for, a month or so. So essentially, the other day I was trying to get ready to film this exact video and I was thinking of what I would say and, trying to like organize my thoughts. And as I was doing that, I actually realized that it hasn't just been this past year that was absolute mayhem, but more like the last 6 or 7 years have been really big highs and low lows. Like it's been like a roller coaster, and I actually didn't notice. So I guess that's kind of the testimony part is that I, I've practiced a lot of techniques to refocus my mind onto God, right? There's a verse that talks about like holding fast to God and, taking everything to Him. I know when I was a kid, we used to sing Burdens Are Lifted at Calvary, and there's a lyric that says, Cast your cares on Jesus today. And as a kid, like, I don't know that I really got it. And a lot of times, even as an adult, sometimes, you be trying to give things to God, but you take it back because you just can't let it go, or you just continue to worry or whatever. But, because I do journaling, because I do like both bullet journaling and, my I guess war binder type of a thing, I always included like gratitude pages. And one year, I wish I had brought it for the camera, but I don't have it nearby. I have like a mason jar, and like every week I would write something positive that happened and something I was thankful for, and I would put like the piece of paper in the jar. And so I have a mason jar. It's somewhere in my house, where it's just full of good things that happened to me that year, and it made me stop and reflect on what was good. And I also have this in my word binder. I have a gratitude page each month, or a positive thoughts page each month. And I try to go through and think of the good things that God has done for me on a regular basis. If you follow my Instagram, or if you've been on the channel for a while, I've also done Testimony Tuesday things where I would stop and reflect. And when you force yourself to remember all of the good things, you kind of bring things in balance, right? The bad and the good, and and it becomes kind of like my life is average type of a feeling towards your life. It wasn't until I stopped and was like really looking at what happened that I was like, oh man, like this was really actually a very, very like large roller coaster of a ride that I went through starting in actually maybe like mid 2014. So in mid 2014, I got bit by a spider. I know that's not where you guys thought this was going, but I am very allergic to spiders. That was my second time being bitten by a spider, and that was my second time having to go to like an emergency care facility. The first time I had to go to the ER. The second time I ended up at like an emergency clinic type of a place because there was no ER nearby. And essentially, when I get bit by spiders, my body won't stop swelling. So they gave me some kind of medicine to stop the swelling and to stop the inflammation. And I had an allergic reaction to the medication. So I ended up vomiting, and I couldn't eat for like a week. And that was just like a really bad time. And straight out of that, I went into preparation for the portfolio that was required for PhD candidacy. So I went into the month of September trying to finish up things for this portfolio, and I was going to sleep at like 4 a.m. and getting up at 6 a.m. and doing it all over. Like I would just go, 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 go. And so when I got into like the month of October, I was really, like my stress levels were high. My immune system was low because I had not been sleeping and not taking care of myself properly. So I got sick, of course, right? Like, what else would happen? So I spent like the month of October sick, and I told myself I was never doing that again. The PhD was not really worth it. And then going into that November, my advisor quit his job at the university I was at and moved to another university. So my stress level shot back up because it was, what am I going to do? For those who have never gone to grad school, your funding is usually tied to your advisor. Like, basically, you work for your advisor. So if they don't work there, then you have to find another advisor, another form of funding. Also, that's the person who says like your work is good enough for you to graduate. So if you go to another advisor, it's possible that they won't accept the work you did under your previous advisor and you're basically starting over. So that is the dilemma that I was at in November of 2014. I ended up following my advisor to South Florida. That's how I ended up in South Florida. So by early 2015, I was in South Florida. And when I went to South Florida, I experienced a class change. That was the first time that I'd actually seen how making like literally the same amount of money is not the same in different places. I had lived in, my hometown. Then I had gone off to college, and then I'd gone to Northern Florida, and then I'd come back. I'd lived in Maryland. And all of these places, while there were price differences, they weren't that drastic, right? Like, okay, maybe it's a few $100s more a month in this city than in that city, but we're talking about like plus or minus $100. Most of the people you see are living kind of the same lifestyle. You may be straining a little bit more, but for the most part, it was the same. When I moved to South Florida, I had to give all of my furniture back to my parents, and I had to sleep on like a twin bed. None of the furniture I owned would fit in the apartment. It was literally a third the size of the apartment that I left in South Carolina, but the rent was double the price. I went from having a view of the lake to having a view of the dumpster. I literally went from living like a normal, I guess, middle class life to like counting every penny. And like, I would go to the grocery store. I couldn't just buy what I wanted. I had to like strategically plan for things because I was struggling to pay my rent. And like, everywhere I went, people looked at me like I was crazy because I drove a Honda. And I mean, I thought a Honda was a normal car, but in Boca Raton, South Florida, a normal car is a Maserati or a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, right? Like, they had valet parking at the grocery store. I was like, what kind of people are these? Like, what do you do? Right? But that's neither here nor there. It was just a very eye-opening experience. So that was very interesting. That's also the year that I started keeping the Sabbath. And it's also the year that I basically went vegetarian by accident. And so a lot of things changed that year, even though I wouldn't say there was like a high or a low. It was just like a lot of change. And then I went into 2016, which is when I started getting super serious into my PhD program, like trying to graduate. And then, of course, that was election year. We're not going to rehash election year, but that was, the Trump versus Hillary election year. And that was interesting, guys. That was interesting. So then going into 2017, I was doing the final stages of my PhD, and I was literally in a trash can every day. I I did research on food waste, and there were some things I didn't really think out in the beginning, and I paid for that in the end. And so, but I was, again, there were times that I would go in at 4 a.m. because everything had to be running when the cafeteria opened, and it opened at like 7 or so. And so like I would wake up in the middle of the night and realize I needed to fix something, and I would have to get it done before they opened the doors to students at 7 a.m. So I was still pulling like 12-hour shifts and stuff to get everything done. And then, of course, writing the dissertation, looking for a job. And going at it, I always assumed that I would take a break between the time that I graduated and the time that I started my job, but I didn't actually have that opportunity. I only had like, after I accepted the offer, I had like 3 weeks to start. So I literally accepted the offer, defended my dissertation, and started work 2 weeks later. Like, I wasn't even graduated when I started working at my job. So there was literally no break, went straight into it, and then ended up, learning the new job and all of that. Went into 2018, and I call 2018 the death year. People are really shook by COVID, but I had a COVID-like year in 2018. So in early May, I think it was in May, my uncle passed away. So I had an uncle on my mom's side pass away. 2 weeks later, an uncle on my dad's side passed away. And then 3 weeks later, my great aunt passed away. So we had 3 deaths back to back. And then just when I was like, okay, everyone who's died is going to die, we can start, to breathe again. One of my classmates from high school, passed away that fall. So it was literally just like death, 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 right? Like it was a very low year. So it came out into 2019. 2019 was probably the better year of all of those years. That's the year that I ended up getting baptized and being, I guess, super involved in the young adult ministry that I left in South Florida. I ended up going out of the country for the first time and going on a mission trip to Belize, which was really fun. So there were a lot of like highs in 2019, but it was still like a busy year. And then coming out of 2019, we went into 2020. You guys all experienced 2020. It was what it was, but literally last year this time in November, I got a call from my his boss, letting me know that I had been laid off from my job. And it turned out that about half of my team got laid off that day. The other half of my team got laid off like a month later. So my whole team got laid off, and, I went back into the job hunt. And at the time, I didn't think that I was stressed out about it. I thought that I was cool and calm, and I was like, yeah, it's whatever. But, when you're single and you live alone and 100% of your household income is you, and you don't have a job anymore, there is residual stress that you just cannot dissipate, right? Like it's just there. So going into December, I was stress fatigued, right? Like the same way at the beginning of this long story, I was telling you, like I got sick because I had been staying up all night. I got sick because my brain had been stressing out about getting a new job, even though I'd already gotten the job and I thought that I could relax. I basically spent all of December and the beginning of January feeling like crap. I was having headaches. I was nauseous. I was dizzy. I started having really bad cycles again. It was just a bad time. And as I was starting to feel better health-wise, I had a ton of my family go into the hospital for COVID. Out of that, my cousin died in January, the end of January, like literally a day or two before I started my new job. A month later, my aunt passed away. A month later, I was moving to Texas and packing up and selling my house. And then when I got to Texas, my stuff didn't get here for like 2 weeks later. And when my car got here, it didn't work. And so I had to put my car in the shop, and they ordered a part. And I don't know if this has to do with COVID or if this is just normal, because this is my first time having a actually, no, my other car was a Honda. It was not American either. I don't know. I'm going to say it was COVID related, but they decided to ship the part via a boat as opposed to shipping it on a plane like you would expect in 2021. So it took like a month for the part to get here. So I didn't have a car for a month. So I was here in a city where I don't know anybody, without any of my belongings, and with no car. So that was interesting. um, and so then, I thought that I was going to start getting back, I guess, into the swing of things, but I was also looking for a new place. Like, I was staying in an apartment temporarily. I ended up getting attacked by my neighbor's dog at said apartment. Uh, it was not an ideal living situation. So I was very much on the market for buying a place. I finally found a place, which is great. I'm very thankful for that. But there's a lot that has to go into it, moving over, like, setting up like the electricity and the internet and all of this stuff. So I was being pulled in all these directions trying to set up all of that stuff. And when I moved in, something went wrong with installing the internet. So I didn't have internet for the entire month of October. So basically, for the past like 6 or 7 years, my life has been like all over the place, and I didn't actually realize it. I didn't really start paying it any attention until this year, because this year was pretty crazy. But it's actually been like that for a while. But I think this year it was just so much, right? It was back to back so much. And I think it just kind of impacted me differently. Or maybe it's been so long that now like the real fatigue is sitting in. So, I just let it be what it was. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to record the videos. I'm not going to be able to post things, because it's too much. And so that's why I just kind of disappeared for a while. I mean, even if I had been able to record videos, I couldn't upload them because I didn't have internet. But that's basically what's been happening. So I wanted to let you guys know why everything was kind of crazy. And also to prepare you that apparently that's just normal for me right now. I don't know when that craziness will end, when I will be like settled. But that probably means that throughout, the tenure of the channel, there probably will be periods where I am, struggling with life. And not able to upload videos. But I mean, I try to do it consistently, but I'm not a YouTuber who gets paid to be on YouTube. So I will try to be as consistent as possible, but I make no promises. But I also wanted to share it because I thought it was kind of amazing. But that, number one, there have been some major highs in all of that turmoil, right? Like, I came out of that with great friends, a PhD. Like I said, last year this time I had lost my job and I didn't know if I was gonna have any. I thought I was gonna have to go home and be a bum on my parents' couch. And now I'm in a new city, in a new place. I have my own place again, and it's everything I could ask for. And just like looking back and seeing how God has blessed me through all of that is definitely a testimony in and of itself. But realizing that through the time I was focusing on those blessings at the time, not like a hindsight thing, but like in the belly of the beast, I was still focusing on the silver lining. So I actually didn't process that it was as chaotic as it was. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I'm pretty sure you guys are also experiencing chaos. Like, that's kind of how life tends to be. And so, I know a lot of people hate hearing, just pray about it, just, wait on the Lord and hold fast to Jesus. And it sounds really cheesy, but when you actually do take that time to focus in on, okay, let me reframe this as to what God is doing for me, not what's working against me. Let me, spend some more time in the Word. Let me just try to do something for somebody else or whatever. it actually does make you forget about how crazy things are in your own life. Because I really didn't realize all that had gone down until I stopped and thought about it. So I wanted to share it with you guys so that you would know, number one, you're not the only person experiencing turmoil. Number two, God will bring you through it. And number three, wait upon the Lord. So that being said, hopefully I will have more videos for you soon. I do have an idea of a series that I want to do for you guys. So hopefully that will be coming out in December. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.